What am I to do? And feeling so confused. And crying all the time, and I'm losing my mind. Lord, I need you to change me, change me, change me. Oh, change me, change me, change me. Please, change me, change me, change me. So, I thought I would go live and continue my story, continue my update on the work. When that video was done, that was several years ago, and I was just trying to really get in touch with my history and the ancestors, and I wanted to have a better understanding. And since we are approaching Mother's Day, and love out there to the nurses. I'm a nurse, so they, for whatever reason, put that around the same time as Mother's Day. But happy Mother's Day to everyone. And but I also want to say that thinking about my big mama and my mother at this time, as well as my daughters and my granddaughter, because it was aunts, it was my big mama, it was my mother that made me want to learn about my family and about our history and about who we are, right? Let me just start by, focusing on my big mom. My big mom, yeah, she was a force. Confident, strong, sassy, funny, not at all shy, very intelligent, resourceful, just an amazing woman, right? And so even as a young 20-something-year-old with a baby, she was the first one to see my baby, right? She wasn't the first, well, she was like one of the first people I visited when I came back, because that was my big mom, right? Who would have thought that the stories, the names, the information that I would jot down from my big mama would end up leading me to understanding my family, my people, our history to the level that I do today, to the level that makes me furious. It makes you furious when you really understand how devious people are and corrupt they are in your face. No wonder we have so many problems. No wonder there were problems that are just like passed down in us, because we don't want to, first of all, it's like avoidance. Like there's generations that avoided knowing the truth, because there are some of us who just feel fear having to handle the rage that they would feel knowing the truth. So they actually
they dismiss it with all their might because if they knew what I understand to be absolutely the truth, they could not contain the rage. They couldn't contain it. So they avoid it. They don't want to believe it. And I promise you, that's what keeps a lot of the so called African Americans thinking they're African American and black. Because if they knew the devious, corrupt entities and what they have done to us as a people, that is far worse than some lie about slavery, they could not contain their rage. They would not be able to. Like I said, spend some time in this space, in this brain, because, it's one, okay, and it's also different when you're coming from a mind space where, there are some people like, oh, yeah, they talk about it and, you know, just research terms and very roundabout terms as far as, yeah, I know what my mama is and my people are, and I've done my genealogy so I know we go back and all that, but they haven't gone so deep that you're like, oh my gosh, not only were we here, but we were not just thriving, we were excelling, we were surpassing the rest of the world. We were doing things beyond the comprehension or understand any kind of comprehension these people had. They didn't understand it. They hid a lot of our stuff and have been studying it on a regular basis for the past several hundreds of years, trying to decipher the stuff we were doing when they invaded us. Trust me. They were very much primitive and behind what we were doing in America as the dark skinned, Negroid, indigenous people. I'm not trying to be mean, I'm trying to tell you the truth. Because when you go back and you see that it was us all this time, that it'll make you really sick. It'll make you want to throw up, make you want to vomit to think what people have done and what they do on a daily basis, trying to make up freaking fake science of DNA that can tell you where your people came from in another continent based and tell you the geography that didn't exist. Didn't exist. Tell you come from a people that didn't exist, that they didn't know about, that they couldn't have picked you up from because they hadn't even explored that part of Africa. And they got maps showing that. They didn't know anything about that part of Africa. And their names weren't Nigerian or Angolan or anything else they want to make up. They did this on purpose so they could take everything that we have. And we are a loving, giving, sharing, and we don't believe that people could be so deceitful, so devious, so corrupt, such despicable beings. No, that's not in our nature. It's not in us to be that way or to think that people can be that way. Look at that. My big mama. So anyway, I wanted to tell you about when I first started to like I was out there in the morning. That was my favorite thing to do because I was rehabbing my little trailer out on this eastern shore, and I was really trying to like just spend a lot of time, talking to my ancestors and praying, and not really just like really talking to God and talking to my ancestors. I should say talking to God and talking to my ancestors, not praying, talking to them, communicating directly to God and to my ancestors. I want to use the right term. And when I was doing that, it really it put me on fire, because these people are so upset, they're so angry. They set me on a course that I am on today. Shout out to you, King. They set me on this course. And so when I was, out here listening to this music and, you know, doing this live, I was just talking about the things I envision. Just a better day for my kinfolk, my cousins on the Eastern Shore, prosperity, daggone, good health, abundance, just I envisioned it all, right? I didn't know. I didn't know the level of what people have done to keep that from us, and that everything we need to have the life that most people dream of, just for generations forever generations, not 10 generations, not 7 generations, but for forever, was right there, being hidden by these deceptive immigrants that a lot of folks call neighbors and employers and landlord and boss and elected officials, elected servants. So anyway, I wanted to kind of share what one of the first things I saw that set me on this course. It was a website called The Abandoned Country. I wanted to show it. I wanted to do a whole live about the Abandoned Country website. That's what I wanted to do. However, that Abandoned Country website is no more. It doesn't exist, you see. Now it doesn't exist because why? Because I guess they took it down with all my quit claiming, litigating. They knew better, because I was about to go for their throats on this anyway. I was about to come for their throats legally. So they were smart to take it down or change the name, but they still have the information posted. They just don't have it posted as The Abandoned Country anymore, right? They don't have it. They don't have it as that. So I wanted to show you, first of all, that the Abandoned Country website is forbidden or gone. Forbidden is not, it's not able to be found. Abandoned country, gone. Forbidden, right? Yeah, that's what it is. We're gonna stop sharing that. We're gonna go, I'm gonna show you what is the what is the abandoned country. The abandoned country is now, the information they have on it is this. So this still talks, they talk about the Indians, they talk about the Accawmacke, they misspell it. They talk about the Accawmacke and giving 9,000, it keeps going up. 5,000, 8,000 acres known as Savage Neck. Baby, no white man is named Savage. Stop lying. There is no English person ever born that would call himself a savage. That's a nigga. Okay? To be very plain and blunt, that's what a savage is. Because that's what they called the Indians. See, if you're Native American and you weren't called an N-word, you're not an Indian. Okay? Because that's what the Indians were. And you see, the thing that makes me so daggone upset, there's a lot of things. But this abandoned country, the fact, okay, this is the thing, y'all. You got to understand that when I started on this journey, when I looked at the abandoned country, it didn't trigger anything in me, right? Because I was naive, I was ignorant. My eyes were not all the way open. I had, not only that, I hadn't been exposed to what they really were and what they had done, specifically to my people, which puts your energy at a whole different level than these people that are just talking esoterically about the subject matter, right? When you like, this what they did to my people, my specific family. This is what they're doing to me now. See, that's what they work hard to try to get you not to get to. They're trying, that's why I can't even get into everything I want to say because I could talk forever. But basically, when I saw this website, I was like, oh, isn't this interesting information about, at that point, I was like, yes, it's us, because I was connected myself to the fact that Big Mama and all my grandparents were from the same Indians. Talked about the Gingaskin Indians. Gingaskin. Ginga. I was like, what is a Ginga? Ginga. That doesn't make sense. They don't have any other word that's like Ginga. In the English dictionary language, there's nothing. Why did they choose to change our names? This is the first thing y'all got to understand about the Accawmacke. They freaking changed our name, so-called. Now, see, I can't believe what they write, because they could have wrote that they changed our name in the 1950s or the 1960s, for all I know. This could be some fictitious shit they made up, they cooked up to try to hide our history, bury our history. So, I don't know. I take it with whatever. I take it with a grain of, I take it, but I also understand who it's coming from, right? So basically, what they say is that they renamed us and designated a reservation, the first on this continent, right? Gingaskin. But they had to change their name. Why? So why do you want to change the name, though? Why was that necessary? If it was the Accawmacke Reservation, why did they have to change their name to Gingaskin? And what's a Gingaskin? They changed our name because the Accawmacke had so much stuff written in court records and laws and statutes protecting us, keeping us on our land, defending us against the invading immigrants. And who do you think did that for us? Oh yeah, it was the Caucasian British people, because they still love us now. No! How could that be? Why would we have all these laws and statutes protecting us? Why would there be laws and statutes that said you can't build a fence within 5 miles of an Indian town, and the whole peninsula was a bunch of Indian towns? Who would have wrote something that protective for somebody they was trying to invade and destroy? The truth is, they didn't write it. The truth is, they have no part in the beginnings of any civilization in America, on Turtle Island. They don't have any part in anything civilized here. The laws, the statutes were carefully constructed by us, the indigenous people, and that's why they were so protective of us. That's why when you look at the early court records, you got a bunch of Negroes in court on the Eastern Shore defending ourselves against each other and everybody else. We was litigators. We were pro se litigators in a big, massive way. And they want to hide all of that from everybody, because if you caught wind of that, then nothing they said before would make sense. It blows all that out of Africa bullcrap and all that, the Indians and TP stuff out the water. It also blows out, the Negro slave story. Because if you're an indentured servant and you got land and you litigating about your land and you got slaves in the 1600s, if you got slaves and you're a Negro, make it make sense. Make it make sense that somebody came from Africa as a damn chattel slave, and 5 years later, he got slaves, money, free, everybody free. He's the richest person in the freaking county. First of all, make it make sense that you would even take the trouble when you're already broke. As a country, you are starving. People are starving. They are sitting in filth. They have no daggone resources, and they see they see Spain and everybody else coming up. Why would you drag yourself all the way out of the way, way out of the way into dangerous territory that is daggone infested with daggone malaria and God knows what else? You don't even know anything about that part of the world. You hadn't even explored it, because when you tried to, you nearly died from malaria. Why would you go so out of your way and in such a high risk venture? That doesn't make sense, because first of all, you can't feed them people, you can't water them people, you can't keep them people from dying because they sit in their filth and they poop and everything, and you can't even get a ship that has a motor because you ain't got no motors in. And if you did have to push a ship filled with that many bodies, you would need a whole layer of people rowing that shit. It don't make no sense. But that's what we were taught. And we didn't hear about it till we got to school with them. Because our people weren't teaching that crap to us. And that's why they had to integrate us. So they could tell us things that keeps us enslaved in our minds, which is where the real slavery happens, when you don't know who you are, you don't know what your rights are, you don't know what belongs to you. That's when you're really captive. The worst slavery ever happened when we integrated and they started telling us who we are. Furious. So then, I'm going to say that with the abandoned country, at the time I thought, oh, this is interesting information. I didn't realize that this man had the audacity, Ben Swenson, if you're still alive, to write that our country was abandoned. Wow. So they change our names to Gingaskins, which really is Niggaskins scrambled. Niggaskins. They laughing at us. They calling us Niggaskins in our face, to our face, renaming us. Yeah, that's what they're doing. Wow. This is the unadulterated truth about what they do. So then I'm like, Oh, this is some interesting information. Now, when I look back at it, I'm like, I want to sue the hell out of you. How dare you? See, this is the thing. The genocide didn't end with them changing our names and saying whatever point they started saying that they took us and put us on a reservation. Even if they didn't do it, whenever they did say it, and if they really did it, the genocide continues with the retelling and the reteaching, right? With the misinformation. That's when, see, they have to keep committing the atrocity. It doesn't stop, right? What good is it if we don't know it? That's how you imprison us, right? So they're always recommitting these crimes of the past because they wanna put it in your head that you ain't you and you're this, that, you ain't done nothing, you just a slave. But they never teach you that they're the slaves. They never teach you about how they got here. They never teach you how they took your names and identity. They never teach you that they're walking around in your skin. They never. And they never stop doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. Abandoned country. You evil mother. You evil MFer. How dare you? We sitting right here and we don't know. And it's so sad because we've been so indoctrinated that we sitting up here and then anything they write, we believe that that's the truth, man. We's like, oh, they wrote in a book. Oh, they wrote a paper about the DNA. I read it. They wrote a study about it. Oh, they wrote a book about it. Oh, they got it in some kind of damn textbook. Oh, they wrote a science book about it. Oh, they wrote an article about it. Do you understand that that's their main witchcraft? They write stuff up. They writing up and recording, and then they sit up there and act like that's real, and then we believe it. Stop. Let me go and show y'all how they lie. The history and this whole event, this soil, this is Indian land, and most universities and all across the country and world are recognizing indigenous people and respecting the fact that the indigenous people, this is their soil, this is their land. My grandmother sitting at the piano and standing next to Furlong, Virginia, Bagwell House, was an Indian. My grandfather was an Indian. All four of my grandparents were from the Eastern Shore, and they're all Indians. They're not from Africa. And to call us African is disrespectful and it's genocide. She grew up here. She spent her whole life here. She played the piano. Her mother worked on the ferries and played instruments on the ferries that ran back and forth in the shore. She brought joy, and they had fun and had events in this property, in this house, all their lives. She made sure we know our heritage and where we came from. Air Hall is on Accawmacke land. This is the main village of the Accawmacke Indians. To not mention that is an atrocity. Like, how do you not mention that this soil, that this property, is Accawmacke Indian property? How do you miss the fact that the slave quarters are on waterfront property? Who has slave quarters on waterfront property? Indians were always here. People just invaded and came in and took over. The transfer of land is very sketchy. That's why the people remained on the waterfront. The people remain on the waterfront because this property has always been indigenous. That this land, North, the Eastern Shore in general, has always been filled with the original people. The original people are still here. When you have a legal case as I have, and you just keep finding out more things that are fraudulent, deeds You are really, truly the indigenous people when you do this. And in the future, when all these people, a lot of these people in this room are historical leaders. You're leaders within Williamsburg and with historical societies. I urge you to start inserting truth and justice in what you teach and what you promote. This propaganda and lies must end. We have to start being honest about what is really going on and what happened that formed this nation and what is going on throughout the world. We can't live in your fantasy of looking at the beautiful little things in the house and think, oh, it was all lovely. There's lynching trees on this property.
Go write your own book.
Oh, I will. I will. But the reality is, you need to tell the truth. You need to tell the truth. And the indigenous people are still here, and they're still oppressed, and the land is still being stolen, and the people are still on it. And this all will be stopped. Thank you. Now, this is the thing. I really went on for a long time. But the reality is that those people, the audience was full of the local historians, the people from Williamsburg Museum, people from daggone the historical associations, daggone educators, people like that. You don't have to make them care. They don't have to care. Nah, that's not the goal. They don't have to care. They don't have to care. Because when enough of it, don't even take it. All they got to do is feel the fire. They don't have to care. They just got to feel the flame. They don't have to care. That's why do we think that the Caucasian immigrants have to care? They don't have to care. They don't. They just need to feel the heat, feel the flame. They need to feel the fury. Because time is up. Time is up. It's over. The lies are over. Just stop lying. Or don't. Keep lying. But you're going to get off my property. I promise you that. You're getting right off my property. Because you can sit there and not want to believe it because you know it's true. But you're going to move. You're going to get the hell on. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. Because when you understand and you are within what is right and what is just, you're not going to stand for it. You're not gonna stand for this. It's a different level. That's why they want to keep us cooning and cutting up and fighting with Pan-Africans and being daggone Moors and all this daggone direction. They want us to keep doing that. They create that. They create all that. They create all those groups to keep us confused, mixed up, and daggone misdirected. Until you understand and it becomes personal to you, you won't feel the fury. And you won't have this level of fire. And that's what they are already feeling. They understand that I know and my people know. They understand I got younger people that's more fired up than me, and they don't even understand what I understand. They don't even understand what I understand. But they're more fire than me. This is what, thank you, that's right, B. Cooper. It is. But that's what it does to you when you get there. I want to encourage everybody to get there if that is you. That's what I want. Because you got too many of these people. People are getting seduced. by YouTube money. They're getting seduced by daggone TikTok money and Instagram money. They're not trying to actually really find or get anything going or make change anybody's lives or build anything because they're seduced, because they're compromised. Being compromised is why we are like we are. Being compromised is we gone from being the landlords of this land to just barely squeaking by with some land. It's a shame what we used to have in the 1900s in so many ways compared to what we had now. But see, we're not even aware of that. We think this is what we are. We think we doing the most now because the young people today are taught, well, we were slaves, so we're doing great. No. In the late 1800s, in the mid 1800s, you name it. We was building always. We had people with money always. We were successful all the way through time. We lost everything after the daggone Civil Rights Act. That's when we lost everything. Because they turned around and they gave everything to dark-skinned immigrants. They brought all them brown-skinned immigrants in, the daggone more Asians, the most Asians, more Asians, dark Asians, and Africans to take all them civil rights that they said was supposed to be for us, and they're going to topple over every opportunity that we have. They blocked it and they cocked it and they took it. And we said, oh, and this is a person of color. Oh, it's a brown person. They don't like you. They don't know you. You ain't nothing to them but a stepping stone. What's wrong with you, you old friendly ass Indians? They coming and taking your spot, your everything, your wealth, your children's spot, going to college, your spot, everything, your job. Come on. And you, oh, Kahalamala. She's a Delta. What? She's an A. I don't know what she is. What? She stepped on your neck. She put your babies in jail. She put your brothers in jail. She put your damn uncles in jail. She did everything to kill the Indian to get in that spot. And she looks like a sister, don't she? Yeah, she is. You freaking kidding me? We got to stop it. Yeah, especially I feel like, especially Christopher, especially in the workplace, you won't see us anymore. A lot of places and a lot of spaces, you don't see us anymore. And when we do, when we are around each other, our energy, like I said, there's something about when we connect with the way we vibe with each other, with the way we communicate, we communicate without words, with words. Our energy amongst each other is on a whole different level, and they know it. They know it. Come on, y'all. These people, they will do anything and everything to keep us from being us. They do anything and everything. Y'all, I'm going to tell you now, my daggone big mama's people, so she comes from people that in the 1700s, they were just making money, bringing white slaves to the daggone, to the white slaves into the country and stuff, and, tobacco out and whatever. And they're Indians, right? Well, these white folks saw that I wrote about it in my lawsuit on purpose Because I was baiting them, dum-dums. I was baiting them. I wanted to put out there that, yeah, I got this ancestor with all these land patents, and I know about Smith Beach Road and all this fraudulent fraud and tax fraud and real estate fraud they doing on Smith Beach Road, and that abandoned country stuff. They put Smith Beach Road as Savage Neck, and it is savage, but they remixed that into the Savages is a white family that is imported, that came here from England. The Savage. Like they would get a Savage from England that was an interpreter for the Indians. Yeah? You mean one of them street urchins, them poor ass people that can't hardly speak the king's English, let alone a foreign language? That's who you think could speak our language and be an interpreter here. Yeah. Believe that. Nah. So they wanted to say that the Savage Neck was named for a white man. And they had 800, 900,000 acres. They got a whole sign that says it out there. That's our 9,000 acres. Because it's Savage Neck. And it's Savage land. Stop with your lies. It's time up. So, this whole thing, because I wrote about my ancestor having acreages and patented acreages, in addition to what I was already suing for, they decided to write a book in 2022. All of a sudden about my non-consequence. He was not like world, it wasn't world changing my ancestor. He just a man, just a Negro Indian that got some land, which is a lot of us. Hell, the Indians in Georgia got way more land than the Indians in Virginia. Come on, let's go. Come on. So, what? So, you mean to tell me you had to write a book about him to make him white? Yeah, they did. That's how sad they are. They saw that I wrote about my ancestor in my court case, and they wrote a book making my ancestor white. You want to hear about it?
And untruth.
Maybe your opinion.
It's not an opinion.
I think that you need to let her answer her question. Your question.
I know I have not finished.
Excuse me.
My question.
Excuse me. You cannot say the church records that started in Exeter.
Where are they? You don't show them in the book.
15.
They're not in the book.
Have you read the book?
I do. I have the book.
All right.
Where do you think I did the research?
No,
Where are the church records?
Yeah, because if I had to bring all the records.
And there's no marriage record. There's no marriage record. There's no death record. There's no birth record. There's no record. We're done.
So yeah, that's what they do. That's what they do. There's no records. They write a book with no freaking real records in it. Falsified records, blatantly. Ain't even spelled the same. Baylock became Bagwell. Just blatantly falsifying and writing in print. I went to the bookstore where they said that the person that worked at the counter helped to do the research. I thought it was written by that lady from England. Nah, she was just a stooge to make it look legit. They hired her, little actress. She didn't even know the book. She was reading from the damn slides. She didn't know anything about that book. They had them whole readings, that fake daggone readings, and all that book was made to just steal land, to keep stolen land. They commit current crimes to keep stolen land. When I went in that bookstore, I saw that person. They said, oh, she helped to do the research for the book. I said, why did they write the book? Miss, why do you think they wrote that book? Why was that book written? I don't know. I said, well, was the woman that came supposed to be English, was she related to Henry Bagwell? Oh, no, but I think she knows somebody whose family may have known Bagwell. I said, what? I said, that is an Negro Indian. I said, let me tell you something. The book was written to steal Indian land. That's what it was written for. And I said to the girl at the counter, I said, you see that book on that shelf there? You know what I see when I see that book? That book is Genocide. You know what I see when I see that book? Exhibit A. Y'all have a good night. Peace.